Greetings, my people. We bring to you your update, and it says European Union step in for the Christian genocide and for the insecurity in Nigeria. Here the news needed to drop opinion on the comment section. Thank you.
It is happening before us. European Union came to Nigeria and signed a deal. One of the deals is on how to reintegrate Boko Haram members, terrorists, how to reintegrate them into the society. I ask again, how many of you saw what happened in Plateau State yesterday? The unalive Christians on Palm Sunday. And yet, we are talking about reintegrating those groups into the society or into the army. That is what European Union came to sign. And that was why I said earlier that if Nigerians really want to take back this country, they can do it. They can do it. If not that when they rise up now, if they see a warehouse that is full of rice, they will stop whatever they are doing. They can do it. If they want to make Nigeria a better place, they can do it. If they want to take it back and say, no, we are going back to 1940, we are going back to the drawing board, they can do it. But because 1 million naira, 2 million, 1 billion, they will forget whatever they are looking for. Look at what European Union came to sign for you. Well, I'm going to play just a very short clip because I don't want this video to be too long. I'm going to play a very short clip for you so you hear from them, of course, and also hear what people are saying. Then you do well to drop your comment in the comment section what to think. Do well to subscribe if this is your first time, right? Please listen to them.
In conclusion, Nigeria is happy to note that this dialogue has reinforced the values of mutual respect, shared responsibility, and forward-looking cooperation. Nigeria is determined to translate today's commitments into tangible outcomes that improve lives, strengthen democracy, and secure a sustainable future for generations to come. Finally, we appreciate Her Excellency Kaya Kallas, High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Vice President of the European Union, and the delegation for their presence, and wish them safe trip back home. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. May I respectfully invite Her Excellency Ms. Kaya Kallas, High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Vice President of the European Commission, to present her statement.
Dear Minister, dear Yusuf, it's really my great pleasure to be here in Nigeria today. And this morning we co-chaired the EU Ministerial Dialogue. Nigeria is a key partner to the European Union, and strong potential is there also to deepen our cooperation even further. This may be my first visit to Nigeria, but I know the strength of your country, and this will not be the last. As Africa's most populous nation and economic engine, you are political heavyweight and also regional anchor. Nigeria's stability is crucial for the entire region. The EU-Nigeria cooperation has grown steadily in recent years, and we want this positive track to continue. So this morning we also spoke about key areas where we work closely together. First, on security, Nigeria faces dangerous rise in jihadist violence. Extremist groups like Boko Haram pose not only a threat to Nigeria, but also to the region. Nigeria is a bulwark in the fight against terrorism, and Europe stands shoulder to shoulder with Nigeria. Over the past decade, we have mobilized more than 700 million euros to support counterterrorism, stabilization, rule of law, and the multinational joint task force. But our cooperation is not only tactical, it's also strategic. Earlier this year, we launched the first EU-Nigeria Peace, Security and Defense Dialogue, and this is how we turn our partnership into action, by defining the priorities and strengthening cooperation. Nigeria is also a major partner on trade, investment, and green and digital transitions. The EU is Nigeria's main trading and investment partner. More than a quarter of Nigeria's trade is with the European Union. over 200 European companies are operating here and creating 130,000 jobs. The EU's Global Gateway program is well on track and with Nigeria and in Nigeria. And today we move forward with new projects in digital, agriculture, health, worth 66 million euros of grants and 221 million euros in low-interest loans. The EU-Nigeria Business Forum, which we will organize in Lagos in June, will boost the investments and partnerships between our companies and private sector organizations. We also look forward to negotiating with Nigeria Science, Technology and Innovation Agreement under the Horizon Europe program. And all this is a win for Nigeria, but it's also a win for the European Union. And third, on migration. We have made real progress on the EU-Nigeria readmission agreement to ensure safe and dignified returns of those Nigerians who can no longer stay in the European Union. So I thank you, Yusuf, for your leadership really in these negotiations and also initializing the agreement today. This is part of broader cooperation on migration. It shows that even on sensitive issues, trust delivers results. And finally, we discussed the broader regional outlook. West Africa faces serious challenges from unconstitutional changes of power, terrorist threats in the Sahel spilling over to neighboring countries, to humanitarian crises in parts of the region. In this turbulent situation, the defense of the rules-based international order matters more than ever. That is why the EU remains firmly committed to its partnership with ECOWAS. We strongly support ECOWAS as a framework for regional stability, as the future of standby force illustrates. And you can count on our long-term commitment. Dear Minister, the EU is a reliable and predictable partner for Nigeria. We believe in this partnership, and I hope today's discussions also kick off an ambitious upgrade of the EU-Nigeria partnership. So thank you again for hosting us and welcoming us so warmly. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. At this juncture, there will be questions from the men of the press. Please kindly state your name and the organization you represent. And let your question be precise, please. Very few questions, please. Two questions.
My name is Nduka Ojenmo. I work for Bloomberg News. My question is to you. I wanted to get your reaction on Donald Trump seemingly backing down on Iran. That's just happened in the last couple of hours. And I'm also curious to know if there are any critical minerals deals you've signed with Nigeria during this visit. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for this question. I think the recent statement that there will be no attacks on energy infrastructure is a very welcome development. I think any attacks on infrastructure, are causing chaos in the region and really escalating this war even further. What comes to critical raw materials, we were discussing this today. I think there is definitely room for cooperation. We haven't yet signed a memorandum of understanding, but we definitely have an interest and we are working to find a common solution.
This brings us to the end of this joint briefing. There will be group photograph immediately after this briefing, please. One more question. Your finger.
Once again, good afternoon, Your Excellency. Once again, good afternoon, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, we would like to know a bit more about the facility that you just mentioned, that EU will support Nigeria in hydrocarbon by emission, to tackle emission. So is there any timeline for this project?
No, I think you got what I said wrong. I was talking about diversifying from hydrocarbons, increasing our energy mix, so that so we're talking about green energy. We're talking about even things that would certainly in the future prove to be much more efficient and efficacious. So green hydrogen, for instance, we're already working with Germany, as you're aware, on creating a framework, on creating a strategy for Nigeria on green green hydrogen. So these are the sort of things, and there's a lot that is going on in the area of photovoltaics, so solar, wind. The EU is already working with Nigeria on studies, on technical support, so that we're able to identify new areas where wind energy is possible, because at the moment I think it's just Katsina where Nigeria has experimented with that. So that's what I'm thinking.
Social media commentators yesterday highlighted an observation that the deal includes a clause to support the reintegration of repentant terrorists. Now, the information contained under initiatives on the European Commission website under Aid, Development, Cooperation and Fundamental Rights states that under governance, peace and security, the EU collaborates with Nigeria to promote stability and security by supporting democratic governance, inclusive participation of young people, women, and people with disabilities, and fostering peace-building efforts. Key actions include promoting the reintegration of former combatants, including Boko Haram associates in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states. Now, whilst this item sits amongst other clauses that relate to clean energy, migration, health, and education, it is the clause that has generated conversation. So let's quickly look at the breakdown of this 288 million euro grant deal that was sealed last week. So out of the 288 million package, let's just look at the breakdown. We have an image of that. 50 million will support healthcare, manufacturing, a number of things. You can see them on the screen there. But 16 million has been said to be targeted towards strengthening migration, governance, and reintegration. So from that 288 million package, we're looking at 16 million going towards migration, governance, and reintegration of the so-called repentant combatants or Boko Haram associates. All right. Now, this document is, of course, from information retrieved from the Nigeria Agency of News. Let's look at reactions on social media before Dr. Abati gives us his input. Lanre said this document is 2021. At that time, there was a program called Operation Safe Corridor, and they were supporting. Now, just for context, the framework between the working relationship between EU and Nigeria is 2021 to 2027. So that tweet is correct, but doesn't reflect the fact that it's a period. Now let's go to the next tweet from Express, who said, before everyone jumps to conclusions, this isn't the EU saying let terrorists walk free. What they're referring to is a standard counterinsurgency approach called reintegration. It applies to people who surrender, are captured or defect, and then go through screening, de-radicalization, and monitoring before being reintroduced into society. Nigeria is already doing this with Boko Haram defectors. The EU is just supporting that framework, not inventing something new. That said, people are right to feel uneasy about it. You can't talk about reintegration without also talking about justice for victims, accountability, and the very real fear communities have about letting former fighters back in. So yes, question is, but let's at least understand what's actually being proposed instead of reducing it to, and I quote, they are bringing terrorists back. And the final tweet from Ade, the plan is to keep us in perpetual disarray so Africa may never rise above its current status. Dr. Abati, several issues emerging here, but the fundamentals being Nigeria's engagement with the rest of the world and how it's impacting the common man.
Okay, yeah, let's start with the European Union. Now, after a fashion, you have development assistance being provided by many countries of the world, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, not just Nigeria, be it Japan or China or Germany, or this one is EU, it covers Germany. the US until Trump came second term and decided to reduce, some of those funding engagements and say, no, we'll rather focus more on trade rather than aid. Now, the issue here is that, those packages like this one, which is 2021 to 2027, they will have the items, but also these grant giving countries, they also relate with the government in place, in power. And that's why I find the second tweet, ex-logistics or so, they called him, I find it more reasonable to say that, look, this does not mean they are going to say bring the terrorists back. You have an administration in place that is not talking about, bringing terrorists back and giving them community attires as we had under the Buhari administration. You have a government that is talking about justice, about ensuring justice, particularly for the victims, ensuring justice also for the perpetrators. And we've seen a few instances where arrested, apprehended kidnappers and bandits and terrorists have been taken to court to a degree that we did not witness under the previous administration. However, we should just know that this thing called integration is even sanctioned, approved by the UN. They call it a de-radicalization, reintegration, and then rehabilitation. But it's a matter of state policy for any particular state to adopt this. However, the popular opinion in Nigeria is that Nigerians want those bandits, terrorists, as criminals. I think it was even under this administration that a definition was offered that these persons are criminals and they should be apprehended and brought to book. Look at the amount of distress, chaos, disruption that they cause in society. So if people take your children, as they did in Niger State, or they attack churches, as they have done in Ondo State and in other places like Plateau, then you bring them back, you put them in Ashwebi, as they call it, and you say, oh, these are persons that are worthy of reintegration. Experience has shown that these persons, are criminals and they do not deserve any kind of, soft treatment. After all, there was even one state under the Buhari administration that arranged husbands for the women that were involved in banditry and arranged wives for. So where did that lead Nigeria? So it's for each country to design what will work for